Charles Dickens, you say? Well, if you're like me, you read Charles Dickens novels in high school or college, but not much more. So festivals around the world are celebrating the 200th anniversary of the birth of Charles Dickens, and our very own Brunswick Arts Council is preparing to present the first annual Charles Dickens Festival to occur in Southport November 30th and December 1st. Dr. Elliot Engel is one of the world's foremost authorities on the life of Charles Dickens. We had the opportunity to sit down with him when he spoke on 2 occasions at Brunswick Community College for the students and members of the community. Here's a short clip of our interview with Dr. Elliot Engel. Welcome, Dr. Engel.
Thank you.
As I said in the introduction, Charles Dickens was much more than just one of the great writers of this time. Tell us more.
Well, nobody will ever say he's the greatest writer in the English language. William Shakespeare always beats him that way. But Shakespeare lived so long ago in the 1600s, we really don't know much about his era compared with Dickens. The difference between Dickens and Shakespeare is, though Shakespeare is more highly regarded by English professors, nobody who is a great writer was more popular than Charles Dickens. He wrote for the public. Most of what he wanted to get across in his writing was for people, everyday people, the average person. He was not an intellectual snob in any way, sense, or shape, and as most people know, he had a wonderful social conscience. Most of the books he wrote in order to correct a social evil. Christmas Carol being one of the most famous, but he actually wrote 16 novels during his lifetime. All were very well known in his lifetime. Today we read very, very few. One of the sad things about Dickens is he wrote 16 works, but all but 4 of them are 800 pages long or longer.
But he was enormously popular during his time, was he not?
Oh, he was. There's never been a great writer who's been more popular. There are trash writers who certainly are much more popular, but in terms of somebody you would ever study in school, there'll never be anyone you study in school who reached more people at more social levels, upper middle, lower, and lower class than Dickens. He was a beloved figure. He was not a perfect man in any way, shape, or form. He and his wife had 10 children, and sadly, he left her, shockingly for a younger actress. So the point being that although he was a flawed human being, in terms of a big heart, in terms of wanting to help people of his era, I can't think of any writer who accomplished more social good than Dickens did. And he did not live long. He died at the age of 58. He started writing. He became very popular when he was 25. So 25 to 58 is a good length of time, but nonetheless, it's a 30-year period. And within those 30 years, he made himself the greatest novelist that the world has ever seen.
Wow. Tell us about his hospital.
In 1852, he helped found the Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. It was named for the street on which it was built. It is still there today. It is still called the Great Ormond Street Hospital. The reason he did it was, in all of his novels, the central character is either a sick, a mistreated, or a dying child.
Wow.
And because he brought so much attention to sick children in fiction, it just made a natural transition for him to do something in the real world that will help these sick children. The Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital is not only a great children's hospital, it is the first children's hospital on earth. So he found it. It wasn't he and he alone, but his novels brought attention to the fact that children were dying because of lack of good medical care. So he literally put his money where his writing had been and helped open this hospital to prevent needless deaths of children. And of course, he lived during the Victorian period, an age of just terrible, terrible working conditions for children.
So we know he was a great social reformer. We know he was a great writer. Was he? I liken him to a superstar of his day. Was he a man of the people?
Oh, yes. He's the first international superstar. He came over here to America. We had already read his novels. And this is not an exaggeration. When the Beatles came over in the 1960s, they were wildly received, but that was nothing compared to Dickens, because the Beatles got the young girls. Dickens got the young girls, the old girls, men, women, children. His appeal was way broader than any superstar today.
We know that you're here for our first annual Charles Dickens Festival.
I'm very excited about that.
And I know that they occur around the country and around the world. Would you tell us more about the festivals?
Yes. The biggest in the world is in Galveston, Texas. It's
Wow.
every year, and the reason it's the biggest is because Houston is close enough that they can just you can either drive or take the train down there. They have over 125,000 people. Not to say you're not going to get 125,000, but sadly you don't have a Houston, the fourth biggest city in the country nearby.
Right.
But I go down to Galveston and do the fair, and it's like yours in that it's the authenticity of it. They decorate the town. The difference being that Galveston is not nearly as old as North Carolina.
Or Southport.
I was going to say, a city like Southport has the advantage, even though they get 100,000 people, Southport would be a much more typical 19th century Victorian Dickensian town. All you need to do is, put a little tinsel on it. In Galveston, they have to build it pretty much from scratch. So it's an ideal place. The original 13 colonies is a wonderful place to hold any Dickens fair.
Wow, I wish we had more time, Dr. Engel. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Sure.
I hope our viewers have enjoyed the interview with Dr. Engel. Truly an amazing and very interesting person. I'm directing our attention now to two very special guests. To my immediate left is my wife, Sue, a wonderful person in my life, and my good friend Jeanette Sarens, who's with us also.
Good morning.
Good morning. They're here to talk about the Charles Dickens Festival. Let's tell our viewers a little bit about what the Charles Dickens Festival is, please.
Well, I first want to say that we were delighted to kick off the festival season with Dr. Engel earlier this week, and he spoke at Brunswick Community College, gave an absolutely wonderful dramatization and performance on Dickens that nobody knows. Lots of very interesting facts about Dickens. But the festival itself is going to take place in downtown historic Southport, and we are just thrilled with the cooperation and partnership of the town and of the Board of Education and all of the schools that are involved, and over 150 performers and volunteers. Southport is going to be transformed into a Charles Dickens Christmas village. We have guest artists coming from Los Angeles, Tony Palermo, and it's very family-friendly, interactive on sound effects for Scrooge and other Christmas things. And David Zumbrennan, who's coming from Raleigh, North Carolina, and is a world-renowned Dickens impersonator. There'll be two wonderful events that he's doing there. The entire festival is very family-friendly. We have puppeteers and storytellers, all about the Victorian themes of Dickens' times. We have Christmas tree contest, gingerbread house contest, costume contest, art contest involving the public school children, students, and we have carolers strolling, Dickens impersonators on the streets and indoors, Mr. Fezziwig's Christmas Ball, and it's just 2 days full of boutique shopping and scrumptious food with the local merchants and outside vendors. It just promises to be a charming and fascinating evening, very family friendly.
Wow, you've painted a beautiful picture, thank you. I want to talk a little bit more about the festival. I want our viewers to know that it is November 30th, December 1st, which is a Friday and a Saturday. We'll try to say that a couple of times to remind them.
Right.
But Jeanette, tell us more about the festival and your involvement.
Well, my involvement is working and supporting a wonderful chairperson as Sue and a co-chair, Meg Dillinger. But my job as the liaison from the Brunswick Arts Council is to help provide the financial support to make this happen, gain sponsorships, help in any areas of contracts and liability that might need to be handled. But mainly my job is just, I'm so excited. I go out into the arena of sponsorship and talking to people about volunteering and gathering them around, and I cannot help but talk about Dickens and what we're doing at the festival. The excitement is just bubbling out because it's such a joyous time. You know, Charles Dickens was born 200 years ago, and this is the celebration, and we chose Christmas time. Because what better time to do that, because he is so well known for A Christmas Carol. And what better time to have a holiday season that starts off with a kickoff of a festival where family, children, community at large, all of the residents of Brunswick County and even those outside of our county can come, walk around and feel that they're joyous and happy and see all of the smells and the sounds of Christmas music and just friendliness. And
It's an exciting moment. It
right.
really is.
Costumes
Might I
and so
add?
forth.
Let's say
Yes.
again, November 30th and December
November
1st,
30th.
please.
Rain or shine, we are in, most
Right.
all the performances are indoors. And we are also collecting food for Brunswick Family Assistance, for the Homeless Coalition, and for the Literacy Council. So people bring your canned goods, old books, and items of personal hygiene and warmth for our homeless in Brunswick County.
And the time we need to tell everyone, Jim,
Please do.
is 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. I mean,
On the-
9 p.m.
9 on
Both
each of those
days.
2 days.
Yes, both days, Friday and Saturday.
Tell us about tickets for the festival.
Yes, thank you. The ticket price for adults is $10. The price for children 7 to 12 years of age is $5. Children 6 and under are free. Now, those are tickets that get you into all of the inside events and venues that are going on. But there's wonderful activity that we encourage all people to come to downtown Southport so they can just stroll around listening to the carolers, seeing the different improvisational actors on the street, seeing what the storefronts have done to decorate and make downtown Southport very, very Victorian, and dress in costume.
To my lovely wife, Sue McCallum, and my good friend, Jeanette Sarens, thank you for being with us today and telling us about the Charles Dickens Festival.